Hello everyone. Today in our research conversation, we have with us Professor Dr. Rajib Bhattacharya, Faculty of Globsyn Business School in the finance domain.
Thank you, sir. It's my pleasure and honor to be a part of this conversation.
I have gone through a number of research papers, and one of the research papers which you have recently written, and it has been published in a reputed ABDC Journal, is about asymmetric volatility and volatility spillover, a study of major cryptocurrencies. It was a very interesting paper when I read this particular paper. So I want to discuss something regarding this particular paper, sir, with you. Why did you want to do research in this whole topic about cryptocurrency? If you can just tell us.
The reasons are basically twofold. Number one, I wanted to couple two factors. One is volatility, which is a very important issue in financial literature, and the other are cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrencies is a new emerging asset class. So that is why I chose this topic where I can address both these issues.
So, sir, in your expert's advice, if you could tell us what this cryptocurrencies is all about.
The cryptocurrency can be best conceptualized as a digital currency. Technology which is behind this is the blockchain technology, where the transactions can be checked by everybody in the chain and not just by a centralized regulatory authority. There are certain areas which one needs to be cautious about, because cryptocurrency is such an asset class which does not have any fundamentals. For example, a stock, it has a fundamental that there is a company, we have certain characteristics about the company, its sales, profits, turnover, management, so and so. But in a cryptocurrency, there is no underlying asset, there is no fundamental. So that is one thing. And another thing, there is a case of a security breach. Technology is important, but hackers are also equally, they are also getting modern and more sophisticated in their operations. So that is the second concern.
Sir, can you briefly talk to us about the problem statement of your research, okay, and your area of investigation in this whole research paper?
As I said, that the basic thing is volatility in cryptocurrencies, but my main research objective was not just to measure volatility, it was on how the volatility of one cryptocurrency affects the volatility of the other cryptocurrencies, which we call the volatility spillover. So what I did, I studied the Wikipedia lists of the most, the cryptocurrencies having the highest market capitalization, and I used to rank them daily. So based on the ranking for a continuous period of 30 days, I selected 6 cryptos. And my objective was that what was the volatility spillover, if any, between the cryptocurrencies themselves. And as a benchmark, I kept the CBOE volatility index. That is, we call it a global fear index, because whenever there is a volatility, there is uncertainty and there is a fear. So as a benchmark, I kept the fear index, the global fear index. And then I tried to examine that what is the volatility spillover. And then I used a technique called the directional volatility, that from where to which currency the volatility is moving, and what is the magnitude, what is the objective measurement of this volatility spillover. This is the sum and substance of my research. So the thing is like this, that the young generations, they have money. They want to invest something new, something technologically advanced, because today's generation is obsessed with technology. But the thing is that, as I said right now, that there is a risk involved. So my gurus taught me a philosophy that in English we often come across a phrase, no risk, no gain. So if we just keep it phonetically similar, but I change the spelling from N-O to K-N-O-W, it becomes no risk and no gain. So you have to, in order to have a gain, you must have the knowledge on it. So this research will give the young generations who are investing in the cryptos about an in-depth knowledge of the volatility which is associated, because volatility is synonymous with risk.
One of the areas in your paper, you have talked about the conflicting rules of cryptocurrency, among the authorities, right? Can you talk a bit more about what are the conflicting areas and conflicting zones that are there? It's very interesting to know.
One of the major minus points of cryptology, which is often cited by scholars, is that it is ruled by nobody. There is no regulatory authority. Now, in every country regarding financial transactions, we have a regulatory authority. In India, we have the RBI. Now, question is, no central authority in a country will permit that some currency, some mode of exchange be operative in their country where there is nothing to control it. There is nobody to regulate it.
True.
So there are conflicts, but as we say that as we proceed into the future, these conflicts gradually they taper off, and ultimately there is a stability.
Okay.
Now, considering the stability, question is when will become stable. So for that, I was coming across the grants hype curve, and I found over there that cryptos have around 2 to 5 years still to reach the plateau.
Okay.
So we are hopeful that these conflicts will wither away, and we'll into a more stable crypto environment.
When I was looking into this particular paper, as a layman, probably in terms of finance, there were two interesting terms which came in. One is e-gurch and the other one is t-gurch. Okay, those techniques. So can you tell me that, what are these kind of techniques?
Let me start from the beginning. It will make things easier because as you rightly said, it's too technical, but I'll try to make it a bit easy if I can. Before this T-gurch or E-gurch, let us concentrate with the arch thing, ARCH. It is auto-regressive conditional heteroscedasticity.
Okay.
Basically, the thing is like this. We know the prices of shares go up and down.
Right.
So that means there is statistically this changes is we measure it by standard deviation. So traditional theories, they conceptualized it like this, that over a period of time, what happened, that this standard deviation, the variation, they assume it to be equal, same, unchanged, constant, but actually it doesn't happen. If we plot the daily returns, it will be like a ECG graph.
Okay.
Sometimes high ups and downs, sometimes low ups and downs.
Okay.
That means variation is not constant.
Right.
So that means we are going into a heteroscedastic situation. Skedasticity means difference and hetero means different.
Mm-hmm.
So that means the deviations are itself different. That's heteroscedasticity. So but then the autoregression is what is that? It is basically that it happens that today's price is dependent on yesterday's price. Yesterday's price is dependent on day before yesterday's price. So that means there is an autoregression. If today's price is the dependent variable, then it is dependent on yesterday's price. There's a regression. Whether we want it or not, then yesterday's price is dependent on day before yesterday's price. So there's an automatic regression, we call it autoregression. Okay. So when there is a time series, that means simply daily prices, it exhibits both the thing. The heteroscedasticity is also there and it is also having autoregression. Then that time series is called an autoregressive heteroscedasticity. ARCH. Right. Now what happened, this arch thing, it was not a very old concept. It was discovered in 1982 by Engels. Okay. His objective was to use simple regression and model the volatility. What I mean by modeling volatility is I want to predict tomorrow's volatility given yesterday's volatility. Okay. So he found out this thing and he coined this word the arch, ARCH. Okay. His student, Tim Bowler-Snell, he further elaborated the concept and 4 years later became GARCH, that is generalized autoregressive conditional heteroscedasticity. Okay. So he made it even fun. And what is E-GARCH and T-GARCH? This GARCH is a family. Okay. But depending on the time series, they exhibit different kind of characteristics. Okay. Based on that, we cannot apply the same GARCH. T-GARCH means threshold GARCH. Okay. E-GARCH means exponential GARCH.
I am very inquisitive to know that in your research, which would be the stakeholders who would benefit most out of this particular research?
The primary stakeholders would be the investors, and the other stakeholders who would be benefited are the consultants, the exchange platforms, they would benefit. And for policy formulation, since we are hoping that it will all taper off interest, live standardized, without any annulations or that kind of a crypto environment. Yes. The policy formulators will also find something important or something useful from this research. These three are the basic three stakeholders.
Tell me something. I think we've come to the last part, and one of the things which I really wanted to know, as a researcher, what would be your message, about the practice of this research? Okay, to the budding researchers and the students in general. As a researcher, what would be your, message to them so that they can also do well or be interested in research?
I'm so glad that you asked this question. My first suggestion would be that first thing is the thing which is required most is seriousness. Research is not a casual activity. One has got to be serious about it. The students need to be serious first, whether they are into research or not, whether they have it in them or not. Next comes that they should read a lot. Because once you research on something, that means you are trying to find out a solution to a novel idea. So you must be sure that this idea has not already been solved by somebody else. So that needs a lot of study. That is one which students usually don't have the patience of. And then I would rather say that everybody talks of data analytics and data analysis. But before this analysis and analytics, the word data is there. So they must first understand the data. Unless and until you understand the data, then you will not be able to figure out that what sort of analysis, analytics, what sort of analytic tools will be needed. So these are my basic suggestions to students who want to come to research.
I think research occupies a very important part in everybody's life, and that we should accept it and then do research and then come out with decisions based on our research and data.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for joining us today. I mean, it was really a splendid conversation having with you, and we of course look forward to such conversations in the future as well. Thank you very much, Dr. Bhattacharya, for your time.
Thank you so much. The pleasure is mine.